A timeline of the history of special education in the United States. A journey through advocacy, legislation, and inclusion. This is Ivy Elefante for SPED 5100. Why understanding the history matters for future educators. Special education has undergone significant transformations, evolving from a system of inclusion and institutionalization to one emphasizing inclusion and individualized support. The understanding of historical context shed light on why certain practices exist today and on what ongoing challenges in the field. This allows educators to better navigate the complexities of special education. In addition, by examining historical perspective, future educators can develop a deeper understanding of how societal attitudes toward disability have shaped educational approaches. This can help them foster a more inclusive and equitable learning environment for all students. Special education's evolution has been driven by the persistent efforts of parents, advocates, and legal battles. Future educators can learn from this history of advocacy and recognize the importance of their role in championing the rights and needs of students with disabilities. Also, understanding the past helps educators learn from mistakes and build upon successes. By studying historical approaches to special education, they can identify effective strategies and avoid pitfalls in their own teaching. And lastly, knowing the history of special ed, this perspective can inspire future educators to become agents of change, working to improve outcomes for students with disabilities and advance their field. Early development in special educations. In the 19th and early 20th centuries, specialized institutions like Perkins School of the Blind in 1829 were established, marking a crucial step towards separate education for individuals with disabilities, despite often isolating these individuals from mainstream society. Organizations such as Council for Exceptional Children in 1922 and the Learning Disabilities Association of America in 1963 emerged to champion the rights and needs of individuals with disabilities, advocating for improved educational opportunities and resources. In the mid-20th century, the civil rights movement in the 1950s and 1960s advocated for equality and justice, influencing the education system. The Supreme Court case Brown versus Board of Education in 1954 ended racial segregation in school settings, and there's a legal precedent of challenging discrimination against students with disabilities. The ESEA of 1965, or the Elementary and Secondary Education Act, this significantly impacted special education. The amendments to the act provided additional resources for states to enhance education for children with disabilities, promoting equal opportunities in learning environments. The ABA of 1968, or the Architectural Barriers Act, this mandates the schools or the institutions or federal buildings to be accessible to individuals with disabilities, marking a shift toward greater physical inclusion. This initiative increased public awareness about the importance of accessibility, which extended to educational institutions and facilities. The foundational 1970s right to education. Section 504 of Rehabilitation Act of 1973 was a groundbreaking civil rights law that provided discrimination based on disability, or that prohibited discrimination based on disability in any program receiving federal funding, including public schools. This legislation ensured that students with disabilities received necessary accommodations to access educational activities. EHA of 1975, or the Education for All Handicapped Children Act, later renamed IDEA, was essential in guaranteeing a free, appropriate public education for all students with disabilities. It mandated schools to develop individualized education plans or programs, or IEPs, tailored to each student's needs. The key provisions of EHA. This introduced critical provisions including the least restrictive environment, or LRE, mandating that students with disabilities be educated alongside their non-disabled peers to greatest extent possible. It also required IEPs to outline specific educational goals and support for each child. The enactment of EHA marked significant transformation from exclusionary practices to inclusion, prompting the establishment of special education programs across the nation. This legislation fundamentally reshaped public education, affirming the rights of children with disabilities. In the 1980s, 80s to 2000s, the Handicapped Children's Protection Act in 1986 empowered parents of children with disabilities to seek legal recourse in disputes with schools regarding their child's education. The law aimed to enhance parental involvement and ensure that students receive appropriate educational services. IDEA, or the Individuals with Disabilities Education Act of 1990, which was before EHA, emphasized a person-first perspective. This legislation mandated services tailored to individual needs, ensuring inclusive education opportunities for students with disabilities. The Americans with Disabilities Act, or ADA, in 1990 was a groundbreaking civil rights law prohibiting discrimination against individuals with disabilities across the public sectors, including education. It was profound, and it fosters accessibility and equal opportunities in various domains of life. The IDEA Amendments of 1997 reinforced the necessity for students with disabilities to participate in general curriculum. They emphasize educational accountability, allowing greater access to state assessments for all students. IDEA, or the Individuals with Disabilities Education Improvement Act of 2004, is aligned with the No Child Left Behind Act, focusing on educational standards and accountability in special education. It introduced provisions for highly qualified special education teachers and enhanced dispute resolution processes. The current focus of special education today is inclusive practices, effective interventions, and high-quality education for all students. The evolving landscape continues to address the unique challenges of students with disabilities in mainstream educational settings. Why this matters to me as an educator? A strong understanding of special education history provides me with essential knowledge about the evolution of societal attitudes, legal protections, and educational practices for individuals with disabilities. This knowledge is crucial for developing effective teaching strategies, advocating for equitable opportunities, and contributing to a more inclusive and just educational system for all students. Thank you.